All right, wake up the kids and go grab the neighbors. The very rare Sony C355 condenser microphone, vintage condenser microphone, has arrived from Japan. And all I really wanted to know was, does this mic have a vibe? And I think it certainly does, so let's talk about this.
From the mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemcoff.
So what's your very first impression of this sound of the Sony C355? Now, I know you've only just heard it for about 20 seconds, but I want to know what your first impression is, because I'll tell you what mine was. Now, following what was absolutely the best experience I've ever had buying anything off of Reverb, Toa's Boutique Yokohama sent this thing via air, so it only spent 6 days between Yokohama, Japan, and Los Angeles. And when I unwrapped it, which I did a whole video of, right? And I plugged it in, the very first thing that I thought was, wow, the richness in the upper mids really kind of surprised me. I was not expecting that. And it's not like the Neumann richness, right? That Neumann-esque sound that we really covet, right? The U87 has this mid-range richness that really kind of extends from the upper mids down into the lower mids, and that lower mid richness is really part and parcel due to the transformer, the really unique transformer heft that the 87 has, right? I mean, this is all part of the sonic language of voiceover, right? That nice, beautiful low mid 87 sound. But what I'm hearing here, right, is there's not so much, it's a little bit lighter in the lower mids, and I do like the way it really kind of pushes what I feel is really a more important part of my voice forward in this upper mid region, in the presence region, and really kind of like below the presence region, above it, but just like a nice boost in that area, which I feel makes my voice nice and clear. It does have a transformer in it. This condenser microphone does have a transformer in it, but it's a 1-to-1 transformer, which means it's only in there to protect it from hum. And so the fact that it does have this hum-busting transformer, and the fact that it is an end-address mic, right? This tells me, in the lack of any documentation online for this mic, this tells me that this mic was really primarily designed to be used really for like broadcast, for a broadcast use, or to be spoken into like this, right? I don't think it's so much a microphone that was designed to be put in front of an amplifier or anything, but I think this was really designed for voice. And the other thing about this mic, which was, this mic is from 1984, okay? So more than 40 years. So approximately 84-ish, right, on this mic. This has an Electret capsule in it. And I didn't, at first, when I was reading, like I was trying to figure out more about these Sony mics, which was, there isn't a lot of info out there. I was led to believe that the designation of ECM or C mics, that's how they usually are. It's like ECM 23 or C355. And I thought that ECM stood for Electret condenser microphone, and that the C was a condenser. So it was like a pure condenser, not an Electret. But I think really the designation is that ECM, the Electret condenser microphone series, were really more prosumer. They were, lower level mics. Not necessarily like studio quality, but consumer quality, but high level consumer quality. And that the C mics were more the professional range. So, but this is an Electret mic, right? Of plus over 40 years. And this Electret mic is working perfectly because, as I will explain in a later video, Electret mics aren't what you think they are. Electret mics, the myth of Electret mics dying, over time, I think has been overblown in the grand whisper down the lane tradition of misinformation on the forums. But we will talk about that at a later date. So this 40-year-old Electret mic, listen to the sound. I mean, it sounds really good. And it's also pretty quiet too. I was actually surprised at the low level of self-noise that this mic has. Because, I thought that as an older mic, it would have it would be up like above 20 or something like that. But it's pretty quiet. And I found a little bit of information about its sister mic, the Sony C350, which looks identical to the C355. So I have no idea what the difference is, but it was designed to be like a lower noise mic. So, but it's interesting. It is an Electret, and it does run on it can run on a AA battery, and it has a DC to DC converter in it, so that it will basically upstream that 1.5 volts. I think to about 9 volts, between 8 and 9 volts, I think, to run the capsule. So really, this is an Electret running at about 8 volts, 8 to 9 volts, which is pretty much a common range for a lot of Electret mics. I'm powering it via Phantom. So that's another reason why I feel like this is definitely, it was aimed toward a professional user or a high-end consumer user, because it does have the ability to use phantom power. One thing that's really neat about this mic is it does have a high-pass filter. It's right here. I can't I'm trying to point to it. All right. So here, it's on M, which is for music. Let me try to put the V here. Hold on, that was off. So this is V. So this is like I think this high-pass rolls off at like 300 or something like that. And maybe a little bit lower, but it's definitely pretty high. And I think it's better if you use it in the M mode. I think all these mics are better if you use them in the M mode, and then you treat it yourself. What you're hearing right now is through a high-pass filter, so it's got an 80 hertz high-pass on it. And yeah. So what else can I tell you about this mic? It's about 1.5 inches in diameter. I would say, is that 1.5 inches? Yeah, about 1.5 inches, I would say, in diameter, and about 8.25 inches of length. And I have it hanging here in my ride coat because I didn't have really a clip that would fit it. And it works fine. It weighs about 300 grams, so it's very light, so it's not really exerting a lot of this force on the ride coat hanging down like this. So it works. It looks kind of weird. But overall, I mean, there is because this is my first Sony vintage mic. I'm wondering, right? Do all C355 sound like this? Right? That's the thing I can't tell you. Do they all sound like this? Or is this an anomalous version of one? I mean, supposedly they all have this sound that is reminiscent of the Sony C48. Right? That's what users of the C350 have said. The two mentions of it online that I found is that it sounds like in the same family as the C48. And the C48, I think, is the vintage Sony microphone that is most compared to the Neumann U87. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with this mid-range, like really nice, beautiful, very present mid-range in these mics. So I used this on a couple of jobs. I had a radio commercial for a 7-Eleven, for 7-Eleven Canada, where I had to play 3 different voices in a 30-second spot. It was two different characters and then the announcer voice. And so what I did to differentiate the different voices a little bit more was I used different microphones for each of those parts. So I used the 2017 for the main character. For the second character, I used the Sony C355, and then I used the U87 for the voiceover tag at the end. And so, and I feel like that worked out great. So, to me, like, the use case on this mic exists, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think that you could use it for commercials. I think it worked in the context that I used it in. And I'm going to stretch its legs a little bit more. I did a couple of auditions with it, but too early to tell. So we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely curious as to what this mic is capable of. But again, I want to know what you're thinking. The very rare Sony C355. I have been bitten by the vintage Sony microphone bug. And because I feel like I'm transitioning to that stage where, I have more microphones than I need, and I have all the mics I need for work. What I'm looking for are specialty mics, vibe mics, or interesting mics to collect. And this kind of fits that bill, but it also kind of falls into the category of mics that I think I could really use for work. And for what? That is yet to be discovered. But let me know what you think of this mic, the Sony C355. I mean, it surprised me. It really did. I was not expecting this professional of a sound coming from this mic. And I don't know why. I thought maybe as an older mic, it wouldn't really have as full of a sound. It really wouldn't. I mean, that's all ridiculous. But again, this comes from the point of view of me being like paranoid that I spent like $400 on a mic that is going to suck. So I'm happy with my purchase. And again, vintage Sony mics. I'm gunning for you now. I'm really interested. Tell me what your experience is. Have you had experience with Sony microphones? That's what I want to know. You know, I'm curious about the C38B. I'm curious about the C48. I'm curious about like all of them now. So it's gonna be like Pokemon. They're gonna be Pokemon mics, I think. No, I don't think I gotta collect them all, but yeah, I'm interested. All right, let me know what you think in the comments. All right, until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, fading to black. Voiceover is so competitive that any edge that you can have over your competition could be a huge boost to your career. So the Modern Voiceover Career Owner's Manual is packed with every single secret that I've learned in this industry, because I'm willing to share it all, because I want other people to experience the joy that I feel doing voiceover. So the Modern Voiceover Career Owner's Manual comes out on May 15th. There is a link in the description below, and also the paperback version is coming out on May 22nd. So go check it out.